Are you tired of your serves being so easily returned? Are you wanting to gain an advantage before the rally even begins? Then this is the video for you. In this video, we will teach you top keys to the pickleball serve, including drills, technique, and the art of spinning the ball.
What's up guys, welcome back to the Vertex Pickleball channel. If you're already a skilled player and know all of the serving rules as of 2024, go ahead and skip past that section into the drill section. But if you're a beginner and you want to touch base on the serving rules, go ahead and watch this next section.
Also guys, make sure to stay to the end of the video where we go through advanced topics like power, spin, and strategy. Let's jump right into the video.
Okay, so in pickleball you have two different types of serves. You have what's called the drop serve and the volley serve. The drop serve is very simple and there's not a lot of rules associated with it. The drop serve, you'll just hold out the ball and let it bounce, and then as it comes down and bounces, you're gonna strike it. The volley serve is more commonly used at the advanced levels, and what you're gonna do for the volley serve is just hold the ball out and drop the ball and hit it before it hits the ground.
All right, rule number one is gonna be just to call out the score before serving. All right, the second rule is gonna be to make sure to serve into your opponent's service box across the court. And if your serve lands inside the box, it's in play. If it hits any of the lines, it's gonna be in play except for the line that is touching the kitchen. And when positioning yourself for the serve, make sure to stand behind the baseline and then in between the two sidelines if they were extended. And then after you hit the ball, you can go ahead and come into the court. Also, another newish rule is to make sure not to spin the ball with your opposite hand prior to serving it. This rule was actually created because people were spinning the ball and then striking it with their paddle, adding almost double the spin, and the ball was doing some pretty crazy things when landing in the opponent's square. So now just make sure you can add as much spin as you want with the paddle, which we'll talk about later, but make sure not to add additional spin when throwing the ball up. All right, another rule is to make sure that when you're striking the ball that the paddle does not come above your wrist. So the highest part of the paddle can be below the wrist, but not above the wrist.
All right guys, well that's gonna be all for the serving rules. If you want some more in-depth info on the rules, I'll link our rules video down in the description where we cover all pickleball rules and etiquette. Kyle's now gonna jump into serving drills and just some things to keep in mind if you're a beginner when serving.
All right, let's talk about being consistent with your serves. If you are a beginner pickleballer, it's important to just get the ball over the net. Here are some drills that Adam and I are gonna show you that will help you be a more consistent server.
The first drill is called the ball striking drill.
Now for this drill, you can practice with the bounce serve or the volley serve. Main focus for this drill is you wanna make sure you're making consistent contact with the center of the paddle. So for example, this is what it would look like. The bounce serve, boom. Volley serve, drop in, center of the paddle.
This may look like a simple drill, but most beginners struggle to consistently find the center of the paddle face. Finding the center of the paddle face will improve your serve and game in general. Now let's move forward to a slightly more advanced drill called the accuracy drill. The accuracy drill consists of setting up an area where you want to hit your serve. This is an easy drill to set up, as you can use whatever you want to make an area where you practice on getting the ball in there consistently. An advanced approach at this drill is setting up a smaller target area for you to hit your serve. In this example, we set it up so that I have to hit a deep serve without hitting it out. Once you can do this 9 out of 10 times, you should find that your serves are better than your previous ones. Now that we know how to be consistent with our serves, let's improve them. There are two main ways to position yourself when serving. The most common one is the sideways angle. This serve positioning allows for your shoulders to be aligned to the target and to encourage back foot to front foot weight transfer, which can add power. This next serve position is called the square position. It is where your whole body is facing square to the court. This position is a lot more uncommon, but we still recommend you trying, as it encourages hip to shoulder separation, which can also add more power to your serve. All right, let's dive into serve depth.
First tip we can give you about serving that'll make an immediate impact on your game is serving deep into your opponent's court.
Most beginner opponents will stand closer to the baseline, so
serving deeper into an opponent's court is effective because it'll cause them to have to take a step back and be sort of off balance, creating an easier return for you to hit back.
In this example, Adam hits me a deep serve where I have to take a step back and react to it. As you can see, I have a hard time, so this is what you can do to your opponent when you master your deep serve. Here's another example of how effective a deep serve can be. I hit Adam a deep serve, he has to take a step back, and then he gives me an easy return for me to send right back to him. Let's talk a little bit more about adding power to your serve. What I'm doing here is one of our favorite stretches that improves hip to shoulder separation. My hips go one way, my shoulders stay the other, and when they come together, your upper body should snap like a rubber band, creating more power. Here is another example of this as Adam's hip fires first and his arm follows along just like a whip, generating that easy power. Lastly, an important thing to keep in mind when adding power is to keep your head still and down through the contact of the ball so you don't lose too much accuracy.
All right, so now that you guys know how to add power to your serves, the next thing we can get into is spin. Spin is one of my personal favorites because it's just an added element to your serve. It's gonna keep the opponent off balance, and another thing you can change up throughout a match to confuse them.
So when serving, you're gonna have 3 different types of spin. You're gonna have side spin, backspin, and topspin.
All right, so we're gonna briefly touch on the backspin serve before we get into the topspin and sidespin serves. The backspin serve is not very common, largely because it's hard to aim and it makes the ball float a little bit higher in the air, which means you're not gonna be able to put as much velocity into it. And how you actually perform a backspin serve is you're gonna take your paddle and almost chop down through the ball. And what this is gonna do is as you contact the ball and cause the ball to roll off in a upwards direction.
Okay, and here's a couple examples of me performing this kind of serve. You can see it can actually be pretty deadly if you get it to the front of the court, but this serve is also easy to actually violate the rules and keep the paddle above your wrist. If you freeze it at contact, you can see usually I'm staying under my wrist, although there is kind of a gray area there.
All right, so a more common serving type is actually what's called the sidespin serve. You can incorporate this even on a serve with topspin or even backspin for that matter. But essentially what the sidespin serve is gonna do is you can either spin the ball right to left, or you can kind of outside to in your paddle and get it to spin from left to right as it lands. So these are gonna look, when you come outside to in and the ball grabs on the face, it's going to start spinning this way. And if you come inside to out with your paddle and kind of close the face across the ball, it's going to spin the ball this way.
Kyle actually performed a really good one here. And as this ball's in the air, you might think, okay, this is coming to my forehand side. Let me get set up for a forehand. And then as the ball actually hits the ground, you can see it's gonna jump to the left. That will make this serve more effective against right-handed players that prefer to get around the ball and use their forehand, especially if you keep it towards the right side of their box to enhance the spin and also keep it low can create an awkward return from the opponent. Now the right to left spin serve is gonna be a good one if you can get it towards the bottom left of the opponent's square, because this will cause them to have to run in for it.
Okay, and the most common type of serve is going to be the topspin serve. This is what most pros are using. And essentially the topspin serve, you can create one of 2 ways. And that's going to be to start low and then come up through the ball and kind of roll your wrist on the ball to create a topspin.
Another way to think of this is to move your wrist like a windshield wiper, and that'll help create more topspin.
If you're facing the court like we were talking about with the straight on serve, as you come through and you kind of point your wrist and the paddle forward, you're going to drag across the ball somewhat naturally and get some topspin like that.
Another way to think of this is to point the handle of your paddle like a flashlight forwards as long as you can to get more topspin. Here's both of these serves in action. As you can see, topspin is effective because you can hit the ball harder and the spin's going to cause it to go down and stay in the court. When it comes to generating high levels of spin, equipment is also crucial. In general, carbon fiber paddles, especially those with a textured, gritty face, provide the best levels of spin while still maintaining a lightweight feel. If you are willing to invest $250 in a paddle, that is totally your choice, but we understand that's not feasible for everyone. That's why we came up with the Vertex Precision 10 paddle, which we feature in our videos. This paddle produces a ton of spin and uses high quality raw textured carbon fiber. We achieved this quality at a low price point by partnering with the same manufacturers used by many premium brands, and we sell our paddles for under $100. I'll make sure to put a link down in the description if you want to check this paddle out.
All right, now that you understand the basics of spinning the serve, let's get into some in-game strategy and show you can implement all of these tactics we've been talking about in your games.
So when it comes to strategy, we'll just touch on placement first. And placement's actually really important when it comes to serving. I know Kyle mentioned earlier, you want to serve to the back third of the court. This is really important because a lot of players will stand right on the line and you can catch them falling backwards, and it will cause them to shoot the ball up in the air, potentially even missing the court. Now, if you do back them up quite a bit and they start to get accustomed to your serve, you can try and sneak one in on a shorter serve, but you have to be careful. If you let that ball hang up too much, they can take advantage of it. Now, when it comes to of horizontal placement, you want to make sure you're not serving a few feet to your opponent's right or left. This is because it'll actually allow them to come through the ball. And as you can see on these forehands and backhands, I'm able to attack through them. As a server, this is not ideal because now your opponent is moving up earlier in the shot and putting pressure on you. If your opponent has a weaker backhand, you can actually exploit this, so you have to know your opponent. Now, generally, you'll want to serve directly at the opponent, right? Again, with a deep serve directly at them with topspin to push back and have to, if they get lazy with their feet, slap at the ball. And you can see Kyle serves it deep to me here. I get lazy with my feet and I don't even return the serve. Now, a lot of the opponents you're gonna face will actually pick one side of the court and kind of hover there after they get into a rhythm of the game. So you can actually exploit this by serving to the other side of the court, but you gotta make sure that they're far enough over to where you can win the advantage in the point. The other thing you can change up is going to be spin type. Obviously, top spin is going to cause the ball to come up off your opponent's paddle, backspin down. So switching up on these and side spin can be another good strategy. But at the end of the day, it's all about having a chess match with your opponent and just getting to know them the best you can and learning their strengths and weaknesses.
All right, guys, thanks for making this far into the video. If you got value from this video, make sure to share this with your doubles partner so you guys can get some more wins.
We have a ton more educational videos on the way as well as entertaining videos. So make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay in touch. And yeah, peace out, guys. Appreciate it.